Today being D-Day, I thought it was appropriate to bring these out. I've had a box of military stuff from my grandfather back when he was in World War II, and I've been wanting to get the pens cleaned up and the flag he was buried with all put into the display case. And a couple days ago I happened to bring out papers I had from back when he was discharged, and well, when he was in the military and discharged. And I never knew much about his service, and I read those papers more closely, and wow, I was pretty astonished what I found, and I'm going to go through them with you here. It's amazing to hold on to some of these things, because you'll see in a second some of these things were in the battle with him while he's in the fields and fighting. So this is the little book he had everything in. As you can see, he's in Paratroopers, Company C, 326th Airborne Engineer Battalion, 101st Airborne, which, as far as I know, those are the guys who, before the special operators, those were the tough guys, or whatever you want to call it. So he was in for 3 years, from October 42 to October 45, and this was when the Airborne just started back up. I think it was right around that time, October. Within 2 months that it went back, the Airborne, 101st Airborne went back into the Army. And you can see here engagements: invasion of Holland, which is D-Day, and then Bastogne, which that's also called the Siege of Bastogne, or it's more commonly known as the Battle of the Bulge, which I've been watching some videos and reading up on that, and that's very interesting itself. You know, they there were the three different divisions went, or three different, whatever you want to call the groups, went three different ways. He went to the south towards Bastogne, and well, first off, there's like 156,000 troops involved that came in off the coast. There was 20,000 dropped behind enemy lines. There was 7,000 ships used. It's amazing to think how, you know, see all those parachutes in the sky. So I don't know much about what he did as far as the initial invasion, but as far as Bastogne, I know they went in and they ended up being circled by 5 battalions. I've seen some guys from the 101st actually telling a story about it. And they were circled by 5 battalions, 3 battalions of regular troops and 2 battalions of, you know, as young as 14-year-olds. One guy was talking about how he had to shoot somebody and found out, took the helmet off. It was like a 14-year-old girl, blonde hair. Yes, he said he was just crying. But he said when they initially showed up, there was a group of about 20 engineers, which that's what my grandfather was. There was like 20 engineers off, thinking they were all alone, surrounded by the entire German army. And then when the rest of the guys showed up, because initially when they jumped in, they got separated. They had to group up all together. I mean, this Bastogne was a little bit later, but they were thinking they were all by themselves. But they were circled by the German troops, and they actually, normally they jump into their locations, but because of bad weather, they were actually brought in on trucks. And so they were fighting for, I believe it was a couple days, and they were down to literally the last few bullets. The one guy mentioned he had like half a belt for the machine gun. He had 2 bullets for a carbine, and he said the other bullet was for him. He wasn't going to be taken alive. And next thing you know, the weather cleared up. They were able to drop in ammunition and food. And up to that point, the Germans had captured their medic and their medical supplies, so they literally, all they had was iodine. So they were in a dire situation. I mean, those that got shot or wounded weren't able to be treated. But eventually the skies opened up, they dropped in, they see the C-47s overhead dropping in the ammunition and food, and then General Patton comes in with the 3rd Army and opens things up, and the rest is history from there. So it's really, it's amazing. You know, my grandfather never talked about his service, although he passed away when I was 9. I wish he would have been around longer. But even my mom said, my dad passed, in '99. So, but my mom said even back then, my grandpa didn't talk about it. And he said he was never shot, but you'll see in a second here, he had to be wounded. He had to be wounded. This shows the parachute school, jump and basic engineering, 2 months instruction in jump tactics and landing faults, rigging and packing chutes, instruction in light bridge building and demolition. That's what he's got an education in the military. And this is the parachute school certificate. He was a private, and after 2 months he went to a corporal. Michael Hickey has satisfactorily completed the prescribed course in parachute packing, ground training, and jumping from plane in flight. He is therefore rated from this date, January 29, 1944, as a qualified parachutist. These are some of his buddies. I'm trying to find out if there's any of these guys living, because it would be awesome to be able to talk to one of those guys. I wish I would have found this stuff, back 20 years ago. G. Lamonaco in Texas, R. Hadjic in Chicago, L. Niblack in Kansas, R. Scott, Jersey City, New Jersey, Valentino, Chicago, Illinois, Joe Ginsburg, upstate New York. This is the separation record, so it shows here 4 months as a private, 32 months as a corporal, and rifleman. I don't know if rifleman is something everyone gets when you're qualified with a rifle. I don't know much about the military stuff, and all depends. I only learned just from looking up these last few days. Which separation point, Fort Benning, Georgia, which that's pretty interesting. I've been up there before. Rifleman served in overseas theater of operations as rifleman in Parachute Division of Infantry, aimed and fired rifle U.S. M1, advanced as directed, attacking enemy positions, performed as a construction foreman in engineer unit. That's what it was, construction foreman, building light bridges and roads. This is the discharge papers, October 20th, 1945. And here's his dog tags. That's what I say, it's amazing to hold these things. Jeez, I can't even talk. In my hands, just knowing where they've been and what they've been through. Here's his actual patches. They're called the Screaming Eagles, and he was in like I said, the 326th Airborne Engineer Battalion, which they were called the Sapper Eagles. SAPPER. These are the engineer. If you follow QAnon, you'll know he talks about Red Castle, Green Castle, and the Army Corps of Engineers. Well, this is their logo. So I don't know where these would actually go. That's why I like to talk to someone who has more knowledge about this stuff. These are all the pens. He's got his airborne pens. I don't know where those little airborne pens would actually go. If it's up on the shoulders or... And the little... Oh, that's a parachute with the wings. That's what that means. Infantry, I guess. And I guess the gold is a tie clip, the rifle, the rifleman, and the red, I believe that means demolition. I'm not sure though. The purple is for Purple Heart, and the green with the 2 stars, you see back in the thing it says citation with presidential citation with cluster, 2-star cluster. And I guess all of the 101st Airborne got that same exact thing, which that's mentioned in the paperwork earlier. So yeah, I'd like to know what the red and white striped section in the middle is. This is his Purple Heart case. It's, had it stored away for so long. Purple Heart with the pen, which I don't know what the separate one goes, where that goes. The little straight one down there. It's a close up of it. And even closer one. And I don't have a picture of him in his military uniform, but this is a picture of me and him back when I was 5 years old. So back in 1982, he died about 4 years after this picture, which I remember this day. We were out there fishing, and I caught a snapping turtle, and we went to pick the snapping turtle up with the net, and the snapping turtle ate through the net. Well, yeah, this reporter came by, and I was shooting marshmallows and hot dogs. That's what I always use to fish. This was right up the road from his house. And yeah, those are some of my fondest memories. Like I said, I wish he would have been around here longer, because I have no doubt I would have kept playing baseball. I would have, yeah, I'm sure life would have went down a totally different path. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting to bring this stuff out, especially given what today is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And like I said, I was surprised a couple days ago when I read what all he was involved in. Just a little bit of knowledge I have about it. I'm sure there's a lot more, but anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you're enjoying your day. I'm going to do an update video here soon, what's going on with me, which I haven't posted here lately, the last 6 months or so, because I've just been working on figuring out what works for me. And I'm going out of town for the weekend for my 2 nieces' graduations, and then I'll post that update video on Monday and start posting here regularly. But yeah, exciting things going on. Well, take care. Have a blessed day.